going on, guys? JPS back for another video, and today we're going to be reacting to Konstantin Kisin, Woke Culture Has Gone Too Far, and this is from Oxford Union, which is a debate society at Oxford University in Oxford, England, of course. And to provide some context, Konstantin Kisin is a Russian Brit, a political satirist, and he has some viewpoints that he's going to share in this video, so should be a good one. I'm excited to get into this. Again, woke culture, I believe it's something that a lot of people are under the guise that they're being progressive when they implement and enforce different aspects of woke culture and political correctness, but the reality of it is that it's far from progressive and oftentimes the opposite of progressive, and I feel like we're going backwards as a society because there's a lot of situations, especially in the United States, where you're not able to fully express how you feel about something because you're at the fear of being politically incorrect or getting canceled or whatever it is. It's ridiculous, and I think a lot of people are finally starting to wake up and realize just how absurd and mental it is to be living in a society that holds these standards for everyone. When, like, what are the standards? There's no... Anyways, I have more to say. Let's get right into this, guys. Make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, consider joining the Patreon. First link in description for full reactions to British shows and movies. Let's go.
Well, first of all, Mr. President, I'd like to thank you for that preview of the 2024 American election we witnessed earlier. And if you're not persuaded to vote for the proposition tonight by that speech by James, I don't know what will persuade you. You will not know this, but I was supposed to be the first non-student speaker for the proposition. I've now been the fourth, which means that I now have to thank all the previous speakers for making my best points for me. And I find that the main reason now that I have left to be in support of the motion is that I am so tired of talking about woke culture. That's why it's gone too far, more than anything else. And I thank the other speakers for making the points for me, because it means I don't have to reiterate the point that no, free speech is not some right-wing reframing of whatever. It's the foundation of Western civilization. Upon this civilization is built, and the Enlightenment values that led to it. I don't have to make the point that has been made by far better people in the past, that the only way to deal with the problem of racism is to treat people on the content of their character and nothing else. And the fact that woke culture seeks to overturn that is a new form of racism that we must all oppose. It means also I will not use this opportunity to say I told you so, as someone who spent the last 5 years warning people in the West that if we continue to erode our culture, if we continue to undermine our confidence in Western values, that our enemies like Vladimir Putin will seek to capitalize on it. I will not make any of those points tonight, at all. Instead, I am not going to talk to those of you who already agree with me, which I imagine is most of you. I'm not going to talk to you because I imagine after everything you've heard tonight, you're going to vote for the proposition. I'm going to confess I will take your vote for granted. Tonight, I am the Labour Party and you are the Red Wall. Now, I want to talk to those of you who are woke and who are open to rational argument. A small minority, I accept. Because one of the tenets of wokeness is, of course, that your feelings matter more than the truth. But I believe in you. I believe there are those of you here who are woke, who are open to rational argument, so let me make one. We are told that your generation cares more than any other about one issue in particular, and that issue is climate change. We're told that many of you suffer from climate anxiety. You wish to save the planet. And for tonight, and tonight only, I will join you. I will join you in worshipping at the feet of Saint Greta of climate change. Let us all accept right here, right now, that we are living through a climate emergency and our stocks of polar bears are running extremely low. I join you in this view. I truly do. Now, what are we to do about this huge problem facing humanity? What can we in Britain do? We can only do one thing. You know why? This country is responsible for 2% of global carbon emissions, which means that if Britain was to sink into the sea right now, it would make absolutely no difference to the issue of climate change. You know why? Because the future of the climate is going to be decided in Asia and in Latin America by poor people who couldn't give a shit about saving the planet. No, thank you. No, thank you. It's going to be decided by poor people in Asia and Latin America who don't care about saving the planet. You know why? Because they're poor. Because they're poor. I come from Russia, which is not a poor country, it's a middle-income country. 20% of households in Russia do not have an indoor toilet. What they have is an outdoor toilet. And I don't mean one of those nice portaloos that we get here. I don't even mean a Glastonbury portaloo. I mean a wooden shack with a hole in the ground that holds a collected fermented memory of the last 10,000 visits. How many of you are going to go home tonight and say, let's rip out our bathroom and erect a Siberian shithouse in the back garden? And if you're not, why should they? 120 million people in China do not have enough food. I don't mean that they don't get dessert. I mean they suffer from malnutrition. That means that their immune system is breaking down because they don't have enough food. You're not going to get them to stay poor. Imagine you're Xi Jinping, the leader of China. When you were 10 years old, there was a revolution, a cultural revolution in your country, and people came and they put your father in prison. Your mother had to denounce him. Your sister killed herself. And you, no longer enjoying the protection of your formerly powerful father, were sent to a village where you lived in a cave house. And here you are, decades later. You have clawed your way up the bloody and greasy pole of Chinese politics to be the undisputed supreme leader of the very Communist Party that destroyed your family. And you know that the main thing you have to do to survive and to stay in power is to deliver the one thing that the people of China want: prosperity, economic growth. Where do you think climate change ranks on Xi Jinping's list of priorities? A third of all children who live in extreme poverty in the world live in India.
I understand what he's saying. There is a lot of truth to it. And also I wanted to say, I don't really think that climate change is a big priority in the United States or in the UK. Like, we do all this stuff, you know, there's companies that try and say, oh, tick this box to reduce your carbon emissions. Or like when you purchase a flight ticket, they'll say, tick this and donate this, or you know what I mean? Things like that. But in reality, these are just very little or very minuscule initiatives developed by the company to make it seem like they care and make it seem like you're making a change, when in reality that company does not care about that. They're just thinking about the profit. And if anyone disagrees with that, then tell me why with inflation all these companies have just started raising their prices, not because of the profit margins going down, but because they have that excuse to now with inflation. There's so many companies that have just thrown their prices up completely irrespective of the economics of it or anything like that. It's just because they have that excuse to. And it's the same way with this save the planet movement and trying to go green and reduce our carbon and live longer on Earth. Like, I don't think these companies really value that. That's just what's trendy right now. So they're gonna jump on that bandwagon, and who knows how long it will stay that way. Like, I don't know, guys. I'm not saying that we don't necessarily care, but how much do we really care if the initiatives and changes that we're trying to make are just so small? Like, it just doesn't. I don't think we're fully in on it. You know, it's very surface level.
That means they are starving and dying of preventable disease. Now, about 15 months ago, my wife got pregnant. Not me, because we're old school.
That's such a wild thing to say. He said, my wife got pregnant, not me, because we're old school. That is how it feels nowadays.
And for 9 months, we talked about what our boy would look like, what he might do when he grows up, We looked at baby scans and videos on YouTube about what the fetus looks like at 9 months and 12 months and 20 months. And eventually he was born. And he is this cute little bundle of joy. He's cuter than about 80% of puppies, right? Now, if you said to me that I had a choice, either my son had a serious risk of starving or dying from a preventable disease in the next year, or I could press a button and he would live. He would go to school. He would bring his first girlfriend home. He'd go to university and graduate and become a woke idiot. And then he'd get a job and get married and have children and become a man. But all I have to do is press this button. And for every day of my son's life, a giant plume of CO2 is going to get released into the atmosphere. Now, you're all very young, and most of you are not parents. Let me tell you something. There is not a parent in the world who would not smash that button so hard their hand bled. You are not going to get these people to stay poor. You're not even going to get them to not want to be richer. And so, I put it to you, ladies and gentlemen, there is only one thing we can do in this country to stop climate change, and that is to make scientific and technological breakthroughs that will create the clean energy that is not only clean, but also cheap. And no, thank you. And the only, I want everyone to get home on time today, which is not going to happen. And the only thing that wokeness has to offer in exchange is to brainwash bright young minds like you to believe that you are victims, to believe that you have no agency, to believe that what you must do to improve the world is to complain, is to protest, is to throw soup on paintings. And we on this side of the house are not on this side of the house because we do not wish to improve the world. We sit on this side of the house because we know that the way to improve the world is to work, is to create, it is to build. And the problem with woke culture is that it's trained too many young minds like yours to forget about that. Thank you very much.
Oh my God, that was nice right there. I like how he ended that. But yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. Like, that's exactly the point I was making earlier. It was like, we have all this stuff. It's just to make it look like we care. But in reality, it's not making any changes at all. Like, we're not attacking the problem. And I think what really is going to solve climate change is definitely scientific and technological breakthroughs. 100%. Because right now, we simply don't have the technology. We're still on fossil fuels, bro. Imagine, like, in the future, who knows what's going to happen? Because humanity cannot predict where it will be in 100 or 200 years. We've learned that time and time again. Like, think about where we are now. So I think it will require a breakthrough, and who knows if that breakthrough is going to happen. But what he was saying about just human nature and things like that, you can't stop humans from taking and procreating and destroying and all that. It's really in our nature. Like that, you just can't stop it. So we have to continue to work and actually make some efforts and make some moves when it comes to the fight against climate change. And that boils down to something much bigger than that in woke culture, which is what he was saying. It doesn't really encourage building or like proper dialogue about these things. It's just back and forth fighting and not productive whatsoever. So I've been tired of woke culture. This is not the first time that we've discussed this on this channel. I believe we had an episode a few months ago from Stephen Fry, and he was speaking on political correctness, and some of his points were similar to the points of Konstantin Kisin. But overall, I thought that this was a great talk right here. This guy wanted to say something so many times, but he just would not let him. So most enjoyable. And let me know your thoughts and analysis in the comment section down below. What do you guys think it's going to take to solve global warming and this climate change crisis that we're currently in, I would say. let me know in the comments. I'm curious about your own thoughts. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.